Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is from 1959, and it's The Devil's Disciple, based in the George Bernard Shaw play, with Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas and Laurence Olivier, along with Harry Andrews, Jeanette Scott and Mervyn Johns. This is complete nonsense, but it's just so much fun. It's going to be a relatively short review. This is about the English going after the American colonies. Obviously, Harry Andrews and Laurence Olivier are the English, and Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster are the American colonies. It does use a nice trick of little animated cardboard cutouts to give you a kind of overview and interjections of the conflict on the map of the area, which is quite a nice touch. It was produced by Burt Lancaster's production company, the Hecht Hill Lancaster company. This is the third of the 7 films that Lancaster and Douglas made together. And again, it's hokum, but it's just so much fun. Burt Lancaster is a local minister. Kirk Douglas is a local rapscallion whose father is hung by the British or English and left in the town square as a warning to other rebels. But Kirk Douglas, in the middle of the night, takes his father's body back. So he's on the English wanted list. Lancaster, through no fault of his own, ends up being on their hit list as well. Lancaster and Douglas don't get on because Douglas keeps saying he's the devil's disciple. He doesn't like how religion seems to be associated with fear and you have to tremble in God's presence. So he signed up with the devil. He's actually quite sexually menacing in a couple of scenes with Lancaster's wife, and that goes in interesting directions by the end of the film. And then it turns out that Lancaster leaves Douglas with his wife for a period, and then the English turn up to arrest Lancaster, and they take Douglas, presuming that he's Lancaster, with all manner of hijinks, and Lancaster's character, who has been kind of against fighting, obviously reaches a decision which leads to a hilarious action scene, and he realises who he really is and who he really should be and what he should actually fight for. Kirk Douglas is at his cheekiest and kind of that Kirk Douglas smirk and energy. Lancaster is just the tower of strength that he is, again, which leads to a hilarious action scene where he takes on rather a lot of the British Army, but Laurence Olivier is just irrepressible in this film. He gets all the best lines. He abuses Harry Andrews verbally quite a lot with his snide little put downs. The whole film, you're just waiting for the three of them to get together. Not in that way. Unfortunately, there's not that many scenes with Olivier and Lancaster and Douglas. It's near the end of the film where Olivier and Douglas have a great courtroom scene, or whatever a court was actually made of in them days. And then he has some wonderful scenes with Lancaster, but there's just not enough. They're kept apart for far too long in the film. But whenever Olivier's on the screen, he's just, again, he's not chewing scenery, he's just having an absolute ball. He gets all the best lines. At one point, Harry Andrews asks him, but what will history say about what's happened here? And Olivier just says, well, history will tell lies as usual. And the British soldier can only be undone by the British War Office. I mean, as if you need any reason to watch this film, but Douglas having a ball, Lancaster just being Burt Lancaster, but Larry Olivier is just so good. It's almost an early version of Olivier in Sleuth. As I said, he gets all the best lines, and he's having a ball doing it. I mean, there's a scene where they're stuck in the forest because the rebels keep felling trees in their way, and he's sitting on the step of a carriage eating soup and delivering quips to Harry Andrews, and then he gets up and just throws the plate at one of the soldiers that's just waiting. Olivier is just so good in this, just having an absolute ball. So I said this isn't going to be an in-depth review of the film because it's not a very deep film, but my goodness is it so much fun. As I said, the action scene with Lancaster when he realises he's got to take a stand, and Mervyn Johns somehow gets involved, and Mervyn Johns is hilarious in that scene as well, all involving lots of ammunition and a burning log. Directed by Guy Hamilton, who directed lots of Bond films, and The Cold Story and lots of other things. It just rattles along for 83 minutes. Again, not deep in any way, shape or form, doesn't go into the politics of the situation and the grey areas. This is just about 3 stars, having an absolute blast, and you should have an absolute blast as well. As I said, Olivier is just so good. So that's The Devil's Disciple. Again, just short and sweet, but it will put a smile on your face. So thanks so much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen The Devil's Disciple and what you think of it, and hope you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.